According to a new study, Hillary Clinton, her campaign, ran ads that were almost entirely policy-free, opting, of course, to attack Trump on personality. Now, according to the study published on Monday by the Wesleyan Media Project, a majority of Clinton's $1 billion in expenditures, which, by the way, is an insane number. We spent $1 billion. She spent $1 billion on the election. Insanity. And, of course, a lot of that went into consultants, paid consultants, media, as well as different organizing. Now, that's actually twice what Donald Trump's campaigns had actually spent. And a majority of that money was actually used on ads that were almost entirely policy-free. So these are just generalized attack ads. And I'll point that out. The numbers will point that out. In fact, the authors say that only 25% of advertising supporting her campaign went after Donald Trump on policy grounds. So that left 75% of her ads to basically attack him on personality alone. Now, every other presidential candidate, by comparison, going back to at least 2000, had devoted about 40% of his or her advertising to policy-based attacks. Fascinating. Now, none spent nearly as much time going after an opponent's personality as Hillary Clinton. Now, you know why, right? Because Hillary Clinton, her policies, they were very status quo. Now, the entire thing that people, the very thing, I should say, that people, especially in the heartland, did not feel had benefited them, and they're mostly right. Now, Trump aired a more typical number of policy-focused ads compared to past elections. As an example, the study notes that his first big TV buy was for an ad called Two Americas, one that portrayed life under Clinton's immigration policies and one under Trump's. Now, I'm going to show you that ad, and we're going to see whether or not that was effective. Let's take a look.
In America, the system stays rigged against Americans. Syrian refugees flood in. Illegal immigrants convicted of committing crimes get to stay, collecting Social Security benefits, skipping the line. Our border open, it's more of the same, but worse. Donald Trump's America is secure. Terrorist and dangerous criminals kept out. The border secure. Our families safe. Change that makes America safe again. Donald Trump for president.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Okay, so that's the ad. That seems a little effective. Look, what it did, and I'll explain this, break it down, it essentially made Hillary look weak and Donald Trump look very strong. Now, that looks good in a campaign, right? Her policies, according to him, in his view, were very weak. His were very strong. That works very, very well. Now, of course, the facts on that were incredibly misleading, but they don't care. Because, again, strength matters, right? And that's what works in these ads. That is a typical Donald Trump ad. Make Hillary look weak, make Donald Trump look strong, and it actually helps. Now, back to the study here. Now, beyond overall ad spending, the study also broke down the content of the attack ads aired on behalf of each candidate. Now, it said that 70% of Trump's ads contained at least some discussion of Hillary Clinton's policies. However, about 90% of Clinton's attack ads only went after Donald Trump as an individual, with just 10% that went after his policies, according to this study. Of Clinton's negative ads, about 90% went after Trump's personality. Fascinating. 10% went after Trump's policies. Most of Trump's ads, however, went after both her personality and her policies. So basically, what this is saying is pointing out that she ran a campaign that is almost entirely personal attacks against Donald Trump. Now, people don't care about that, right? And it actually makes the person doing those attacks look kind of bad. And actually, Vox points this out by saying, quote, evidence suggests that negativity in advertising can have a backlash effect on the sponsor, and that personally focused trait-based negative messages, especially those that are deemed to be uncivil, tend to be seen as less fair, less informative, and less important than more substantive policy-based messaging. So basically, the Clinton campaign focused overwhelmingly on Donald Trump's personality and fitness for office, leaving very little room for discussion in advertising of the reasons why Clinton herself might have been a better choice. That is, of course, according to Vox. Now, look, one of my criticisms, this kind of matches up. I kept saying before she had zero vision, right? Why isn't she talking about how much better her policies were? What were her policies better? How would they benefit the American people more? You're not talking about that. All you're doing is talking about how bad Trump is. Trump's a racist, he's a sexist, he's a misogynist, blah, 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 right? Well, that's okay. So how are you different? What are you going to do? Like, what exactly are you going, what's your vision? We need a vision. It's not enough to tell me that one candidate is bad. Tell me what you're going to do for America. You're trying to get elected. You can't get elected by trashing somebody else. You have to give a vision here. But again, that's not what they did. Now, again, you've got to make a case, right? You have to make a case for yourself. You can't go and run on Trump's not a real candidate. But again, hubris, right? This comes down to hubris. Saying that, no, don't worry, we got this in the bag. All we have to do is trash Trump and show the American people how bad of a person that he is, and then we'll win. Well, that's not what happened. And one of the reasons, of course, is that Donald Trump ran as a populist. And they thought, well, a populist can't win. Bernie Sanders, he's a populist. We made sure that he didn't win, even though he would win a general election. He's a left-wing populist, so let's make sure the right-wing populist doesn't win. Let's go for the establishment, because everybody loves the establishment. No, they don't. They despise the establishment, and you completely missed the message. You missed the memo on that one. Now, the study also points out that unlike Clinton, Trump provided explicitly policy-based contrasts, highlighting his strengths and Clinton's weaknesses, a strategy that research suggests voters find helpful in making decisions. These strategic differences also may have meant that Clinton was more prone to voter backlash and did nothing to overcome the media's lack of focus on Clinton's policies knowledge, especially for residents of Michigan and Wisconsin in particular, who were receiving policy-based and specifically economically focused messaging from Donald Trump. Now, the new report also confirms that the Clinton campaign did not appear to realize its vulnerability in the Rust Belt until the final days of the election. As a result, blew millions that could have been spent elsewhere. Clinton's team spent virtually nothing advertising in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania until the final week. And again, that is the hubris of the campaign. The whole thing is hubris. She thought she could attack Trump on a personal level without actually making a case for herself or her policies. They didn't understand that Clinton represented the establishment, and the establishment was incredibly unpopular. They also didn't take a cue from Bernie Sanders, who did nothing but talk about policy. And Trump, look, Trump, when he was out there, he did talk about his plans. Yes, he attacked Hillary. He let Chance of lock her up, let some really disastrous, terrible things, and said some terrible things, said some ridiculous, idiotic things. But when he talked about his policies, and yes, it was vague, but he said exactly the right things. This is going to be great. My plans, they're tremendous. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to get your job back. They'll be so great your head will spin. You get a good job, you get health insurance, a chicken in every pot. Everybody's going to be covered by my health care plan. It's going to be tremendous. It's going to be fantastic. And then Clinton, while he was saying that, Hillary Clinton's over here saying, look at that racist over there. Isn't he bad? He's such a bad person. Okay. But she offered nothing to get people to say, look, okay, so he's a racist. What are you going to do for me? You going to do something? You going to promise me to get my job back too? He's promising to get my back. I don't care that he grabbed a pussy. I'm hurting. My family's hurting, and he says that he alone can fix it. What are you going to do for me? Look, I'm not saying that thought is right, but I'm pretty sure that went through more than a few people's heads. I don't care that he said that. I don't care that he says this. I don't care that he calls Rosie O'Donnell fat. I don't care. How's he going to help me and my family? That's what they're thinking. And look, this is the political reality. And again, this is why Bernie Sanders was so popular, because he actually talked about policy. He had a vision. He talked about economic fairness and justice. That's why he was popular. That's why people rallied around his message. Okay? And look, I honestly think that he could have beaten Trump because he stuck to that message. He's a left-wing populist. He didn't have to rely on fear and hate and xenophobia. What he relied on is, I have an economic message for America. I want to make things more fair. I want to help you. I want to help your family. Now, Donald Trump had sort of the same kind of message, but instead of let's all work together and hope and get this big political revolution started, where we all work together to push forward for these goals. Instead, it's like, those people are the ones that are taking your stuff. Vote for me, I'll get them out. Look, they gave a vision. Both of them gave a vision. Hillary Clinton did not. She didn't do that. She ran a terrible campaign, and she lost to an absolute clown whose policies, ironically, are going to hurt the very people that he promised to help. Every one of those consultants in the Clinton campaign, as a result of this, need to be fired and never be allowed to work on another campaign. This was an absolute fucking disaster. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.